Luke Hatfield, alongside me, Wolves correspondent here at the Express and Star, Miss Rosie Swarbrick. Rosie, you've been down speaking to Nuno today.
Yeah.
What's he had to say?
Yeah, so Nuno's had another one of his quite strong press conferences where he comes out and speaks about the scheduling for Wolves.
Yeah.
This Wednesday night match against West Ham will be their third game in 7 days.
Yeah.
I think there's been a turnaround of, I think it was 45 hours
Yeah.
between some games that are coming up, and he's really gone strong on the fact that, he's come out and said, it's not fair on the players. He said it's sort of ridiculous. He's been really quite strong about it. He didn't say the word ridiculous, but that sort of is the sort of thing you sat there going, right, okay, he is not a fan of this at all.
Yeah, certainly not. It doesn't help with a squad Wolves' size either, does it?
No, I think that we were trying to hoping perhaps that he would sort of infer that this could lead to injuries. We've seen Wolves' fantastic injury record they've had over the last couple of seasons, but now with this small squad that they're utilising, we've seen Leander Dendoncker have to move back into central defence. Romain Saiss, also another natural midfielder, he's in defence because of the injuries to Willy Bowley and to Ryan Bennett, but obviously they aren't, perhaps due to Willy Bowley's was just a slip in training, and Ryan Bennett is a groin injury, so they aren't due to the game load, but you can see people getting, Adam Traore the other week picked up a little bit of a tweak that saw him miss the Spain call up, and that you could argue, right, that's because of the amount of games he's playing and the high intensity that he plays his game at. You're looking at players like Diogo Jota. This season he's already had a bit of a knock to his foot. You're looking at these sort of things and you're thinking, could a Wolves player here end up with a serious injury? And then also you've got to take into consideration what Nuno pointed out, the demands of the international schedule as well.
Yeah.
So there's a break coming up in February. We don't know when yet, do we? I don't think we've got a certainty about that, but is that too late?
Yeah.
So,
It's a tough one, isn't it? With so many players doing well, you're going to have international breaks. Going back to Wolves, I mean, we've seen them, they got a draw against Sheffield United, they drew in Braga. Can they go one more against West Ham?
Yeah, I think they can. They're on the unbeaten run at the moment. 9 games unbeaten in the Premier League. So that's a fantastic run, if they don't sort of win a game, they have this sort of fight bet mentality to draw. I think there's been 8 draws in the Premier League so far this season, and of those, 7 of those draws have been 1-1s, and every time they've fought back from 1-0 down, so they've got this sort of mentality and spirit in them, and I think it was just great at the weekend, obviously the way that they fought back, and Matt Doherty getting that goal with all the emotions surrounding Benica, his best friend Benica phobia, and obviously the death of his daughter, which was such a sad and emotional day for all. So it was just great to see that sort of character and spirit. And I wrote a piece in the Express and Star on the analysis piece about how it sort of sums up the character, the grit and the determination, how they sort of bounced back and made such an emotional day, ended up still getting a result.
Yeah, that's right. And West Ham, I mean, they've been in great shape this season, especially recently. Although they did get a result against Chelsea, you'd think it's one of them games which Wolves would really be targeting for 3 points, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it is. But obviously, when we've spoken to Nuno, we've got the sort of typical sort of quality team, quality players. Every team in the Premier League is going to be tough. And what West Ham have an advantage that Wolves don't is they've had a probably lesser schedule than Wolves have. Wolves have had the Europa League. They've got next week. They've got another Europa League game. Their schedule is more demanding than any other team in the top flight, given the the qualification run as well. So, they've got the advantage of a little bit more fresher legs. Perhaps I know they played at the weekend like Wolves did, but there's still that sort of, they've perhaps got a bit more. But we've seen with Wolves that against Sheffield United, when they're going to the end of games, that it's not actually having an impact, it's just perhaps what could have an impact long term, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and lastly, before we go, what can we expect in sort of the team news from Nuno? Is anyone going to be back fit, do you reckon, or is it going to be a matter of trying to stick with what we've seen before?
Yeah, there's still no solid update on Ryan Bennett. Asked him about Ryan Bennett, still no solid update on that. So at the moment we're looking at the situation. The big sort of conundrum really is at the back between Romain Saiss being back from suspension.
Yeah.
So you'd expect him to come back into the side, but obviously Max Kilman, who took his place again for the Sheffield United game, had a really good game.
Yeah, did well.
And I think Joe, in his player ratings, Joe Edwards, my colleague, gave, I think Leander Dendoncker, who was on the right side of this back three, got quite a low score this week, and I think everyone who was there, it wasn't Leander's best game in the back three, certainly by any stretch of the imagination, since he's come into that role. So it would be, and he's spoken this week about how he's sort of not, he's found it hard to adapt to defensive role from midfield. So there's of those four, you'd say Kilman, Saiss, Cody and Dendoncker, there's a decision to be made as to which three start, and I don't really think that Kilman deserves to come out the side.
Yeah. And
you'd also think that Saiss deserves to come back into the side. So, but will he move Dendoncker out? It's a there's a decision to be made there by Nuno, because obviously since the Willy Bowley injury, they have actually done really well. That the climb to the top six, the Europa League qualification to the last 32. That sort of does actually, the correlation between Leander Dendoncker coming in at Newcastle and making that start at Arsenal, and him joining Saiss and Connor Cody in the back three in place of Willy Bowley. That sort of does have a little bit of correlation. So does he stick with that sort of tried and tested that has worked for a couple of games, or does he sort of try a new one with Kilman, or does he mix it up again? You don't know. Nuno loves his consistency, doesn't he?
Yeah.
We know that. So, but we're gonna have to wait until the team sheets are out.
Decisions to be made for Nuno. Decisions. Right, that does it from us. For all the latest on Wolves, make sure you stay with expressandStar.com.